What's up, guys? Kevin Thomas, John Epps here, Moving the Chains, our state championship preview show, John. This season, I feel like it's flown by. Just nuts to think about, man. I can remember, looking back during the summer, talking about spring practice, who's going to be good, our preview shows and whatnot. Now, all of a sudden, here we are, 15 weeks later, weekend of champions right around the corner.
Yeah, it's been great. We thought we had it pretty figured out in the preseason on who was going to be here this weekend. And boy, has a ton of things happened that we didn't expect to happen. A couple of the teams are there that we expected. I feel like we didn't have any major misses. Certainly had some surprises. I think there was some surprises across the state. For those that keep up with high school football pretty closely. But it's been a lot of fun. We've seen some excellent players. I think one thing that I've noticed this year more than any other year, or since we've been doing this, is incredible quarterback play across the state from young kids. I'm talking 9th and 10th graders. And we've seen some great quarterback play from some 12th graders. Some guys that we've been very fortunate. We've seen a lot of players they're going to play on Saturdays next year. We've seen some incredible talent. We've seen some really good environments. We've had some good hot dogs, some bad hot dogs. We've had some hot weather, some cold weather. We've seen it all. We've had a really good time this year.
A couple key points from last week, John. I think, upper state, lower state title games, you expect some close ball games. Really didn't see a whole lot of close ones. A lot of multi-score games there. Couple, maybe some upsets with a Beaufort team win people didn't see coming there. A team like Abbeville coming back from 16-6 down at half to smoke Saluda was a surprise to me. Kind of the way that one went there.
Oceanside did the same thing.
Same thing, Andrew Jackson, exactly. Obviously Dutch Fort getting some revenge on Gaffney after what happened last year in the state title game. But a lot of good football games. If you guys are tuning in, we really appreciate that. Like, share this post. If you're here on Facebook, tell your friends. Really appreciate you guys. Follow us here on Facebook at Movin Chains, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all at Movin Chains. John and I do a live preview show every Tuesday at 7 during the season. We'll be back next year with those. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc. That's Darrell Hendricks and I do a recap from the previous week. Definitely tune in and check those out. Check out our interviews on YouTube. Got our brand new website, movinchains.com. It's got a message board in there. You can talk some trash. That's been a lot of fun this year. It's got all of our graphics and whatnot there. Tune in for our Friday Night Spaces on Twitter. It's a live scoreboard show. That's been a lot of fun, John. A couple comments here before we get going. Kenneth says, ready to hear you guys' perspective. You guys are usually pretty accurate. Appreciate that, man. Kenneth. You the man. Let's chop it up. Start with 4A tonight, please. Oh, man, we got 5A, so we got to start at 5A. Sorry, Kenneth.
He'll go for it.
But you can always come back and watch it if you miss it live for sure. Kevron says, good evening. Hey, Kevron, good to see you, buddy. Chuck says, South Florence with the state championship win. The Bruins are rolling and playing some great ball. No doubt about that, John. But let's get going here. The biggest classification we got here in South Carolina, and that's 5A. We got Dutch Fort out of the upper state taking on Fort Dorchester out of the lower state. Dutch Fort 13-1, Fort Dorchester 11-3. Actually, a rematch of last year's lower state title game, which Dutch Fork won 21-14. John, these are two really good football teams. Dutch Fork averaging 44 on offense, good up 14 on defense. Fort D averaging 34 on offense, 16 on defense. I feel like these two teams had some injury issues earlier in the year. Obviously Jarvis Green was kind of banged up for Dutch Fort. Liam Affler was banged up for those guys. So looking at Fort D, Zoltan Osborne missed some time there for them. They've got some injuries going into this game too. I'll talk about here in a minute. But what do you think happens in 5A? Obviously Dutch Fork has been a favorite for 5, 6, 7 years. They had won, was it 4 in a row or 5 in a row before last year losing to Gaffney. They're always there. Fort D has built a very solid program under Coach LaPrade as well. Do you like the Patriots or the Silver Foxes? What's your lean here on Tuesday going into this game that is played at noon on Saturday?
I was very impressed with what Fort Dorchester has done in the playoffs. Losing Osborne at quarterback for a number of weeks hurt them. But I was impressed. They went to the reservation, played Gaffney, and I believe that game was at the reservation.
It was.
Played Gaffney. Very close. That was a very competitive game.
A bunch of guys playing out of position we're not used to.
That was a very competitive game where I felt Fort Dorchester's a pretty significant disadvantage going into that game. And they competed, and they nearly won that ball game.
Yes, they did.
They were certainly in contention late in that ball game. So that gives me some hope for the Patriots coming into this game because I think Dutch Fork's the better team in this matchup. They got more talent. They're very sound defensively. very, very efficient on offense. They've got a young quarterback, or a new star, I should say, in Appler playing quarterback. He's playing very well right now. He has grown up as the season has gone. He is a completely different player currently than he was in September.
Yeah.
He has certainly improved. That's huge compliment on himself and that coaching staff at Dutch Fort. That progress and improvement there. But then, you can't say enough about Jarvis Green.
Yeah.
He's been incredible. Another great game against Gaffney last week. On defense, you have Perry, who is one of my favorite defensive players.
Yeah, he's tough.
That
he's
guy,
tough.
he makes the field look very small with how big he is and how fast he moves and how quickly he is able to read and react on a play. I think Dutch Fort proved it Friday. We sat here last Tuesday and we talked about how there were so many things that Gaffney had going for them in this game that made you think, hey, yeah, Dutch Fort's a little bit better probably. But with all this in Gaffney's favor, getting played at the reservation, having this huge environment, it might be enough for Gaffney to be able to pull off that win. And Dutch Fort pulled away. It was, you were at the game, you and Jarrell were at that game, but following that game along, fourth quarter, Dutch Fort really, toward the end of the third quarter, Dutch Fort really mashed the gas to the floor and pulled away in that game. And I expect something similar in this game Saturday afternoon. I think Fort Dorchester is certainly going to they're going to be there. I think they're going to play well. They're hot. And we talked about this. You made a great point saying this last few weeks. To get here, you have to be one of the hottest teams in the state, but you also have to be really good. Really talented. And Fort Dorchester certainly is. I hope we see a competitive game. I just see this one being another game where Dutch Fort in the fourth quarter, all that talent, all over the field, I think starts to pull away from Fort D in this game.
Yeah, last week that big win over Gaffney, Jarvis Green goes 20 for 182, a touchdown, 4 catches, 6 yards and a touchdown, and an 80-yard kickoff return touchdown. Great game for him there. You mentioned Liam Appler. He's been a difference maker. Last week, 8 for 11, $147, 3 touchdowns, and 10 for 78 on the ground, and 2 more touchdowns. Playing great, finally healthy now after missing some time earlier in the year. You mentioned the D-line or defensive sky with Perry and, Hinton and Danley and Mack and all those guys. I think that offensive line needs some more talk about too. Jarvis Green has had a huge year, but the O-line is opening big holes for him. They're doing a great job up front blocking for him. They really handled a good Gaffney defensive squad last year. You mentioned Brayshawn Littlejohn and Nathan Johnson. Dutch Fork really handled those guys pretty well up front, it felt like. The O-line opened some nice holes for Jarvis. And
I'd like to hear your take here, because from what I've seen from Dutch Fork this year, they don't have negative plays.
No, not many. Not many.
That's a huge credit to that offensive line, being able to get that initial push up front and get things going. If you got an offensive line and get that initial push, boy, you really got a wide open playbook at that point.
Yes, everybody knows Fort D. We've been big fans of Zoltan Osborne for since he's been playing. Really good athlete there, really good quarterback there through the game. Kind of clinching touchdown last week in that 2-score win over Somerville. Running back Davian Brown is hot right now. He's 100 plus every week, it feels like. Had a couple big games already in the playoffs. Running back, wide receiver Multi Snyder's playing great for them. Defensively, getting it done up front. They're really physical up front. John mentioned last week against Carolina Forest. They didn't have to throw the ball; they just manhandle them up front. I mean, they can do that. So that'll be a good matchup. That defensive line versus Dutch Fork's offensive and defensive lines too in the trenches there. I do got to mention these injuries though. They lost their center last week. Had some snapping issues. I mean, that's a huge part of your offense. If you can't get the snap timing right, that throws everything. That's a huge loss there. Obviously a week of practice will help get that kind of sorted out. You would hope.
We hope so.
If you have 1 or 2 of those, that can change the game. If you get a fumbled snap or overhead, whatever, that's a game changer. And also, then Trey Ryan too, the punt returner receiver, he's out too. A big loss not having him there for them. They're going to need some big, special teams plays or a big turnover, something like that. Maybe Cam Crumley, a big return. I mean, I think that they're going to be fired up. Obviously, state title game, of course, everybody's fired up. But then they felt like they could have won that game last year against Dutch Fort. A 7-point game.
Very much.
They thought they had a really good shot to win it. Couldn't quite pull it out at the end. That gives a little extra fuel to the fire there. Coach LaPrade won a title with these guys back in 2015 in 4A. They haven't been back since then. I think you have to lean Dutch Fort because of the talent they have and what they've done this year. I mean, have not been tested really since some of those out-of-state games earlier in the year. Their one loss to St. Francis there. I'm gonna go Dutch Fork. I'm thinking very close. I'm thinking 7-point ball game, something like that. I'm thinking a tight one there.
Okay.
In 5A. But I do want to also commend these two teams for playing really difficult schedules.
Absolutely.
Out of region, Dutch Fork plays Spartanburg. They played Creekside out of Georgia. They played obviously St. Francis, who beat them there. Played that squad. Played Huff out of North Carolina. Fort Dorchester. Their 3 losses: Grayson, Clearwater, and then Gaffney. I mean, those are 3 premier programs there. One out of Georgia, one out of Florida, one out of South Carolina. But these teams, I mean, that builds. Even if you lose those ball games, that builds something in your team. Like, it makes you know what's going to take to get these wins. So hats off to Coach Knotts and Coach LaPrade for scheduling those squads there. But I do lean Silver Foxes here in a close one on Saturday at noon in 5A.
I agree. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I hope we see a great ball game. I hope the Stars. I hope Zoltan Osborne has a great game. Hope Jarvis Green has a great game. I hope we see those guys really shine. See them at their best.
Yeah, a couple comments here. We've got Kenneth says, "Let's go Bruins." Zach says, "Good evening, gentlemen. We're not to have his boys go watch on Thursday this week. I do want to congratulate all 15 all-region honorees from Clinton. They played great ball this year. Obviously, now Bryson James, Player of the Year. Hezekiah Connor, Defense Player of the Year. Justin Clovis, Special Teams Player of the Year. That's awesome to hear. They had a great squad, man. Nothing, to be upset. I mean, obviously you can be upset, but don't be down on that. He has a great season. The Red Devils had no doubt about it. Lost to a very good Powdersville team last week. Derek says, "What's up, gents? Our neighboring team, Dillon, couldn't get it done either." Yeah, that was a surprise. John was at that ball game. We'll get to that Beaufort 3A game here in a little bit, but that was a surprise to me that Dillon couldn't handle it at home, especially. Derek says, "I would much rather be talking about late this go around. We can make it. Can't make it every year. Kind of young in certain spots. No, used to make it happen." Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm, that PD area is always solid with 1A squads, whether it's Lamar, Lakeview this year, Johnsonville, obviously right there. Always fun to follow 1A in that lower state area. Lakeview, I'm sure, will be back here, if not next year, within the next couple. No doubt about it, John. But let's take a look now at the 4A matchup. This one is 7 o'clock, the nightcap on Saturday.
Yeah.
Northwestern, the Trojans coming in at 13-1, taking on the South Florence Bruins, 14-0 out of the lower state, John. The one loss for Northwestern to Gaffney, another team that's scheduled tough out of region, of course, there. Northwestern defeated Greenville 33-28 last week. South Florence defeated Flora 43-27. The Trojans averaging 49 on offense, 19 on defense. The Bruins 47 on offense, 14 on defense. 2 great coaches here: Drew Marlowe at South Florence, Paige Walker, Northwestern. And this is kind of a weird matchup here, John, where both these teams are very good this year, but it's kind of a historic program in Northwestern that expects to be there. Kind of maybe a program in the Bruins that Coach Marlowe is building to get to that point. I saw the press conference today. Coach Walford said they asked him, when did he know that this team could get here? When was their goal set to go to the state title game? He said, "That's our goal every year. That's not up to us." He's like, "That's what the Northwestern standard is to be there." So they expected to be here. Coach Marlowe, he said that he knew a couple of years back when he saw this young group, they had a chance to get here. So he's in the process of building something special with South Florence. Northwestern's been there before. Who do you like in this ball game? Because I think this might be the game of the weekend right here, John.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this game. It's I just love the way that 4A has progressed this year. We've known South Florence has been very good all year. We've known Northwestern's been good all year. But as the season's gone, as the playoffs come, more layers and layers have peeled back, and we've figured out a little bit more about all these teams. And I was riding that Greenville train up front pretty hard.
Yep.
And they turned the ball over 5 times last week.
3 interceptions by the Northwestern defensive line.
It's incredible. That's incredible. Hats off to Northwestern for wreaking that havoc and causing those mistakes. But gosh, I thought Greenville would be here. I thought Greenville would be here. Northwestern, though, they got that pedigree. They expect to win these types of games. They expect that, a game maybe they shouldn't win. Maybe they're not the better team against Greenville. They win anyway, and their offense has been on fire throughout the entire playoffs. You talk about Elijah Caldwell, Turbo Richard. You don't have 2 offensive players much better than that.
Explosive.
In the same squad. But with South Florence, I can't get past how impressive they have been all year long.
2 one-score games. Oceanside and Hartsville. That's only 2.
And the Hartsville game was kind of.
Hartsville came back late.
That was a wide gap, and then toward the end, it got a little bit close. I still feel like that game was a little more. That score's a little more misleading than what it is.
I agree.
But I got last week. I increasingly got more and more excited about the South Florence AC4 game.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of the week when we did the show, I was thinking South Florence is probably gonna be by about 10, and they ended up pulling away. Went about two scores. But as the week went, and I talked to one of my uncles that lives in the Columbia area, and he's seen AC4 a couple times this year and talked about, he reminded me how good those guys are, how good Markel Townsend is. And I started thinking, well, they beat West Florence 15-19 too. We saw that West Florence team; they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, oh boy, this could be a barn burner. It was a close game early.
Yeah.
It was a game in the second half.
21 all, halftime, 28-27 there in the third quarter.
And then kind of like what Dutch Fork does, they flip that switch and say, "Hey, this one's over."
Yeah.
And they did it again last week. They have been doing it all year long. You look at who they played in the playoffs. James Allen's team that they've been playing great defense.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a team that played, especially at that level, as good a defense or better defense than anybody had in the regular season. I think 52 points.
Yeah.
52 points.
First half, 52 points.
And I mean, it's just insane what they have been doing. And then they play AC4, and they did what they 43-27 win there. Northwestern's great. Yeah, they're very good. I just don't see them. I don't know if Northwestern is as good as AC4. Mm-hmm. And I as good as those guys are, I just don't see. I could see this being a 10-point ball game, but I think when it's fourth quarter and you gotta have a play, you gotta make a play, I think South Florence is gonna make those plays. I say that though, in Northwestern, that situation last week, they made those plays.
Yeah.
And they beat a team
down 21-7 early.
They made those plays against a team that I think they weren't as good at.
Yeah.
So here we are in a similar scenario here. I trust South Florence a little bit more in Greenville. Just from what they've done all year that they play. We saw them at that West Florence game. Mm-hmm. And we say that there's a lot of teams that are here this weekend. They're very disciplined.
Yep.
You don't see them with goofy turnovers. You don't see them with
tons of penalties.
Bad penalties too. Yeah. You're gonna have a holding call here and there. You may get called on offside. You got teenagers.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have some penalties, but you don't see these dead ball losing your cool, or hey, you're making a chop block 35 yards away from where the ball is. You don't see that kind of stuff in these teams. I like South Florence because they play a very clean game. And not the Northwestern does it. South Florence plays a very clean game. And I know I say this on a broken record. In these kind of close games I look at, who's the best player on the field. And there's a debate here. You can say there's a debate here. Yeah. I think it's Lenore Sellers.
Yeah, Mr. Ball finalist Lenore Sellers, current Syracuse commit, picking up some more offers to see how that goes here down before signing day. But he's playing great football, man. I mean, I think last week he ran for 200 plus. Didn't throw it a ton, threw for 100 plus, whatever it was. Had a big night for them. Talk about Shaquem Shiloh, the running back's a great player there. The receivers, Evan Singletary, his cousin Jaden Sellers, having some big touchdown catches lately for those guys. The defense, fast, physical. They're a little undersized, which is why I thought the AC4 gets a problem last week. They're not the biggest group there.
And they did score on them, but when they had to make plays and when they had to shut them down in the fourth quarter, they did it.
They did. Those guys had, Davis and Pugh at linebacker, White in the secondary back there for them. But they're a good squad. Like I said, very disciplined, man. They're going to make the right reads on defense. They're going to be in the right spots. Not a ton of busted coverages. I mean, you get one here and there, of course, they're kids, but they play a very sound fundamental football. The Bruins do. But Northwestern, man, I've said it, I think, like a freaking broken record. Finley Polk, the quarterback, if he doesn't turn it over, they're a really good football team. And he has been gotten progressively better throughout the year. Yeah, he's been not turning over. He had 3 turnovers or 3 touchdowns last week, I think. 1 throwing, 2 rushing, or vice versa, one way or the other. Obviously, Turbo Richard, you mentioned him. Elijah Caldwell, stud, just a freak athlete out wide for those guys. The O-line is big and physical. Jordan Knox going to Northwestern, really good running or O-lineman there for them. But we talk about the offense for those guys, and that's always, I feel like Northwestern always has a good offense. But look at their defense. In this playoff run, they played a Greenwood team running the wing T triple option, beat them 50-0, no points there. Played a Westside team that can light it up with Scott Early, Cutter Woods, held them to 21, a 59-21 win there.
That was very impressive.
And then another Greenville squad last week that can line it up, gave up 28, but you turn them over 5 times. I mean, the defense is getting it done when they have to get it done. I think they've got a real shot to win this ball game. But like you said, Lenore Sellers on the other side. And I trust him a little bit more than Finley Polk. Nothing against Polk. I like he's a great player. Will be a great player in the next couple of years too when he gets more experience. I mean, he's a great player now, but
another great young
we'll keep getting better and better. But I like Sellers a little bit better. I'm going South Florence in what should be a super fun ball game and a really, I think, tight ball game too on Saturday night.
I think this has the makings of being the most exciting game.
Yeah.
That we see all weekend. I think that 2A game is going to be, we'll talk about that 2A game here in a little bit. But I think this is going to be, if you can pick one game to go to this weekend, this would be the game I would pick.
Yeah.
This would be my number one pick to go to. I think it's going to be the most exciting game. And could be the most competitive
Certainly
game
could
as
be.
well.
Certainly could be.
But yeah, I just don't see, I find it hard to believe. I would be very surprised if South Florence turns the ball over 5 times.
Yeah. They don't do that a ton. Interesting to see if they make Sellers throw it, if they let him run it. I'm interested to see what Coach Walker does on defense there against him and how they kind of try to combat that.
I don't know what would you do? I don't know how I would. I think
you got to try to make him throw it. I think. I mean, but it's tough. It's not. There's not a right answer.
There's really not.
Not a right answer there.
I think I agree with you because more can go wrong when you put the ball in the air.
Yeah.
But gosh, he's got such a good arm. And I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you got to hope that that some of these guys like Massey and Perry and Jackson kind of stop the run without having to bring extra bodies, I guess. But we'll see what happens. Be a fun matchup. But Donald says he picks Northwestern. Greenville should have won it. Curtis says Caldwell is a bad man for Northwestern. Yes, he is, man. I think he's still committed to West Virginia, I believe. A receiver, I think there. Michael says, being from Hartsville, definitely pull over South Florence. Our region is hands down the toughest in 4A. Yeah, that region, I think it's 6 4A there. Every year has, 3, 4, 5 teams that we think can be state title contenders. It's so deep there in that kind of PD and Grand Strand area there in that 4A. But a lot of fun there, John. Let's take a look now at the Thursday night matchup. 7 o'clock Thursday, kicking it all off, Weekend of Champions here. And that's out of the upper state. The Powdersville Patriots, 13-1. Taking on out of the lower state, the Beaufort Eagles, 12-1, John. Powdersville, 1 loss to 5A Power Hillcrest in a close ball game early in the year. Beaufort's 1 loss, Fort Dorchester, 21-6 to open the year. This is going to be a fun game. Powdersville defeated Clinton 27-14 last week. They're averaging 45 on offense, 22 on defense. Beaufort defeated Dillon 30-21, 31 on offense, 17 on defense on the year there, John. Eagles, Patriots, I think I'm leaning Powdersville, but what do you like here in this ballgame? Because I tell you, last year, 4A lower state, Beaufort wins it. They go to the state final. I feel like every round leading up to that, I think I picked West Florence to beat them. I picked Myrtle Beach to beat them. On and on and on. Beaufort kept pulling off the wins under Coach Libren there. Got to the state title game. I think I picked Beaufort to win, and they lost. So I can't get these guys figured out. What do you think about this 3A matchup here?
Well, I've done the same thing this year. And it was funny because during the regular season, kind of talked about, the one team that they played that was really good was Fort Dorchester. You can't knock them for losing 21-6 to Dorchester. Yeah. But their region and the rest of the regular season didn't have a whole lot of spice to it. So it was hard to tell how good they were. And we had that state championship game stuck in the back of our minds still.
That was not competitive. That was bad. Yeah.
But then they come to the playoffs, and you look at what they've done the last few weeks. Crestwood, I thought Crestwood was going to beat them.
It really could have lost that ball game.
Their offense comes alive, wins 45-42. Okay, all right. They got away.
Yep.
Then they play Gilbert.
I picked them to lose.
I picked Gilbert again. I picked Crestwood to win. I picked Gilbert to win. They beat Gilbert by 10. Incredible performance there. And then last week, they go between the white walls, and I go, well, they're not going to win this game.
Yeah.
And they win. And it's at that game, they went 30-21. There was an interception in the end zone by Dillon. Mm-hmm. There was a very I want to say question, which is it's hard to see that flag get thrown.
Very interesting call you don't ever see. Yeah.
A quick flag, a holding call in the end zone gives Beaufort the safety.
Mm-hmm. And
then they've been excellent on return game all night.
Yep.
They bring back the the kick from, I think, the 20, they do it at from after a safety. They bring the ball down to about the 40-yard line, 35-yard line of Dillon. Come down and score again. Make it 30-21. And that was early mid fourth quarter. And their defense was good enough to – and it kind of had a feeling in the stadium at that point in time. This game might be over.
Yeah.
9 points was a lot. That was a big margin the way that game was being played. But this Beaufort team, I was very, very impressed with them. They showed a lot of speed.
Yeah.
A lot of speed on offense. We know about Casey Fields and how good he is. He is certainly he looks the part.
Yep.
He plays the part. He plays good on defense, too.
Yep.
There was a play, him and Ty Martin met in the hole. It was pretty cool. My view, there was a good hole.
Yeah.
And here comes Ty Martin, and Casey Fields is right here. And, boy, you heard the helmets clash up the top of the press box. It was good on good. It was a great game to watch, but Beaufort impressed me with their speed, their team speed, especially against Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
That you expect to be fast, and they are fast.
Yeah.
Beaufort was faster.
Yeah.
And I think Dillon was a more physical team in that ball game, but Beaufort showed some physicality too. They played tough. They played very good defensively. Quan Rivers for them he's a big dude.
Yeah.
He moves well. He's a guy that's always around the football. He's a good athlete. Really, really good looking squad, especially on that defensive side. Special teams was very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Powdersville, you really got to think about not kicking the ball to these guys.
Really?
Especially Colton Ferris. That guy, he's faster than he looks.
Mm-hmm.
He can move. He's a very good runner, very good in the return game. And if Beaufort wins this game, I think that's where they can win, the special teams. We've seen Powdersville a few times this year. We know how good they are. That offense firepower they have, Thomas Williams, Eli Hudgens, they are great. And, boy, they believe in themselves. They play as a tremendous unit together. You can tell they trust one another. They are very, very good as a total unit, a total team. Their defense looked good against Daniel a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
They played good against Clinton.
Yeah.
A game that Powdersville, I feel like we got the sense out of that game. They were really worried about that Clinton game. They were really worried about that Clinton offense. They did a great job against those guys. I like Powdersville in this ball game, but what I saw from Beaufort last week, I tell you what, this could be a really good ball game here. It's the little things that Beaufort does well. Making the little plays here and there.
They're solid. They're just solid, you know?
They're solid. They're solid. And I don't know that they're going to be able to throw the ball too well. They didn't have to throw the ball a ton. They chose not to throw the ball a ton against Dillon. Mm-hmm. They were okay with that.
Yeah.
They got away with it. But the special teams play, very impressive. They got a pretty good kicker on their hands, too.
Yeah.
The big thing with Beaufort, there's two things that worry me about Beaufort. If they have to throw the ball, we're getting a little bit of a shootout. Can they keep up with them? They did against Crestwood. They won the game. I thought that's where they would get bit. They did not. They kept up. They scored 45. They were able to win that game. And then two, I think I noticed Friday, we talked about snaps. Mm-hmm. The snap, they run it out of the shotgun. It's a little slow and it's a little high. If that Powdersville defensive line can pounce on that, if they can put some pressure, that could be a problem for Beaufort if that is a consistent. Dillon was not able to do that.
Yeah.
They were not able to do it. Powdersville, I don't know they're going to be able to do any more than Dillon did on defense. Dillon's very good defensively, as we know. They're probably better defensively than Powdersville is. But that is something to watch.
Yeah.
I think that's something to watch there. But I love just the overall talent for Powdersville is so good, and their defense has just been making enough plays to win ball games. I like the Patriots in this game, but this could be I think people could be surprised at how close this game will be.
Yeah, we talk about Beaufort, their one loss being to Fort Dorchester in a competitive ball game there. That wasn't even like really the real Beaufort team because they weren't even playing Casey Fields at running back yet. This guy didn't start playing running back until I think week 4, week 5, something like that. Has still amassed over 2,000 yards and 29 touchdowns on the ground, John, and didn't even start the year as a running back. Last week had buck 63 touchdowns. Colton Ferris playing wide receiver, running back, DB, a little bit all over the field. He had a buck 63 and a touchdown last week against Dillon. They got him involved in multiple ways. The quarterback, Samari Bonds, like you said, not the best thrower. They're going to figure out if they have to do that, what they're going to do. I don't know. Defensively led by Hart Cushman and Jaden Simmons and Lamar and Jamar Knight and those guys. They get it done on that side of the ball. I just worry about the firepower they have. I think that, if you're one-dimensional, Powdersville's going to have a good plan to stop you, and I don't know if they can throw it enough to kind of get them out of that. We'll see. Looking on the Powdersville side, Thomas Williams is always a big game last week. I think about 88 yards rushing, 45 receiving, 2 touchdowns, and had about 15 tackles on defense. I mean, getting it done.
That's a full day's
both sides of the ball there. You mentioned QB Eli Hudgens there. Wide receivers Elijah Huggins, Drake Sloan, Kyle Rice. But I'll talk about the defense. Guys like Thomas Williams and Xavier Fowler and Harrison Jeffers, those guys. They gave up 14 to Clinton last week, 27-14. But they basically shut them out. 7 of that's on a pick 6.
That's right.
And then 7 of that is when they turn the ball over inside the 10.
That's right.
I mean, to shut down a team that was averaging probably, 45 or so a game, it felt like, in Clinton, hold them to really no touchdown drives of any substantial length, that's super impressive. Coach Nimmer and that squad had it going on that side of the ball. And that is what worries me. A Clinton team that is pretty one-dimensional, because that's all they want to do is run the ball. If you can't kind of spread out Powdersville somewhat, and I don't know if Beaufort can, I think that defense is going to field that because they are fast. You mentioned Beaufort being fast. Powdersville's fast too. I think that was kind of the key last week is that they were almost just faster than Clinton. Really. They just had guys they knew where to be, and they would get to that spot before Clinton could get there. So I like Powdersville this one. Thomas Williams, one of the best players I've seen in our 4 or 5 years doing this. One of the better players in the state. I know he's not a Mr. Football finalist, whatever. Heck of a football player. I will take him on my team any day of the week.
Absolutely.
I'm going Patriots here. I think they win by a couple scores.
I think it's gonna be a 10. I think it's gonna be a 10-point, maybe a single-digit ball game. The more I think about it, the more I like Beaufort to keep this ball game competitive. You say, hey, they're gonna want to run the ball. They spread it out though.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll throw out 3. They'll throw out trips on one side of the field. They'll make your personnel spread out a bit. And you know what? Dylan's no joke on defense.
Yeah.
And it's not like we don't know what Beaufort wants to do. Everybody knows what they want to do. Still can't stop it.
Yeah.
Knowing what's coming and then stopping it is 2 different things. And boy, watching Dylan chase Clinton Ferris all over the field last week, that was special.
Yeah.
That was special. He is going to be he's fun to watch.
Yep.
He is fun to watch. This is going to be I think it's going to be a really fun game. I think you might be surprised.
Yeah.
I know Jarrell will be surprised.
I know one thing I do want to mention. I harped on it last week on our preview show and also on a recap show with Jarrell. How impressive that Powdersville win was. Not to win Upper State, but to be able to get back up after beating Daniel 2 weeks ago, which is basically the Super Bowl, to come back and and beat Clinton by 2 scores. Very impressive for them. Coach Muster's doing a great job. But Beaufort, Coach Libran wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, they've reeled off 12 wins in a row since the opening game loss. So played great football, no doubt about it. But should be a fun one for the Eagles and the Patriots. That's Thursday night, 7 o'clock down at Benedict there. A couple comments here before we move into 2A. We've got let's see. Zach says, I got to think Beaufort's the favorite because they've been there before. That is true. Don't forget they were in 4A title game last year. No doubt about that. Donald Wilson says Powdersville's Thomas Williams is the real deal. Powdersville is quick. Powdersville beat the best in Daniel. That is very true. Zach says the only problem with P-ville is from the game saw against Clinton, the only person that impacted the game was Thomas Williams. Didn't really have anybody else on offense. Yeah, they're going to have a big game from Hudgens, of course, getting Sloan involved in those guys. But they've got some weapons. I think they can make some noise for them. Demetrius says he's pulling for Coach Wilkes and at Oceanside, making the hometown Sherall proud. Hopefully the Braves can make it to state next year. Yeah, Demetrius, appreciate you tuning in, man. Coach Wilkes has been having a great year. We had him on in a preseason interview. Go check that on our YouTube page. But Sherall, that's always a tough program. Had their ups and downs this year. Had a big win in round 1. But
yeah, they turned on late in the year.
Hopefully they'll be back and win us some ball games next year in that 2A level. But John, let's look now at that 2A state championship. A very interesting matchup here. Abbeville out of the Upper State taking on Oceanside Collegiate. Abbeville 12-2, Oceanside 12-1. The Panthers came back from a 16-6 halftime deficit to beat Saluda 41-16 last week. Oceanside came back from a 13-6 halftime deficit to defeat Andrew Jackson 49-13. Two teams that are just rolling right now. 2 teams that are getting it done on the ground, especially. Who do you like, Land Sharks, Panthers, on Friday afternoon?
It's hard to go against Oceanside, given what they've done all year. They've been the team, legitimately to have a chance to knock off South Florence all year.
Let him do a point.
And that is extremely impressive. But I tell you what, I've been all about Abbeville all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that they're healthy. And that game last week against Saluda, I thought Abbeville would win that game.
Yep.
I thought it was going to be a lot closer than what it was. And the fact that they just blew their doors off in the second half.
Yeah, got out of hand, didn't it?
I mean, that was extremely impressive what they did, especially offensively in that ball game. That, if you're Oceanside, you got to look at that second half tape and go, oh boy, we got our hands full.
Yes.
We really, really got our hands full now. And they're saying that on the other side too, because that Oceanside team has been good all year long. I think both of these teams probably want to say, hey, let's just skip the first half. We'll come out of the locker room. Let's just start third quarter. That's basically what they did last week.
Yep.
This is going to be a very entertaining ball game, I think. I love both of these offenses.
Mm-hmm.
You got Von Blue and Monroe Freeling on that side for Oceanside. You got Rayford calling the shots on the Abbeville side. Really, really fun group to watch for the Abbeville Panthers. They got players up and down that sideline. It's incredible, the depth that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Not just depth, the depth of talent. That they have. Not just guys. These aren't Jags, just another guy. These guys they're good players. They're talented. They're deep. I think it's gonna be an exciting ball game. I think Oceanside is gonna win this game, but I think Abbeville is gonna make them earn it. I think this could be. I expect probably about a 10-point game, but I think Abbeville is going to make them. They're going to make Oceanside fight for this game as much as they did any other game this year. I think this will be a fun one to watch, but I think Oceanside is going to be a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, Panthers averaging 45 on offense, 14 on defense. Mentioned quarterback Zay Rayford, running back Antonio Harrison, two guys who were injured early in the year, back now, getting going, full strength rolling here. Obviously, Javario Tinch, Altavius Patterson, Ty Cade. DeMarcus Leach on defense had 2 picks, including pick 6 last week for them. That's the thing about the injuries, John. You mentioned the depth there. It allowed them to build some more depth. Build some more playmakers. Guys got a bunch of carries who wouldn't typically get them with Rayford and Harrison healthy. So that did, maybe paid off in the long run for the Panthers there. Coach Nichols going to have a great game plan as always, I'm sure, run that A-ball on offense there. On the Oceanside side, averaging 42 on offense, 12 on defense. Quarterback Edward Reidenbach getting it done through the air in the ground last week. Had 21 for 111, 3 touchdowns. Von Blue, second game back, had 27 for 227 and 2 touchdowns. That kid is a stud going to Charlotte. People kind of forgot that he was out for a while.
Because they kept rolling.
They just kept rolling. Like, oh, yeah, this guy hadn't played since freaking September. He's back now, and they're balling even more. Zach Hagadon, heck of a playmaker. I love him on special teams and defense as well for them. Jace Crabshit, Roger DB, great player for them. Mentioned Monroe Freeland, the big-time offensive line recruit, playing some D-line too for them, which I love to see that.
Absolutely.
Out of those big guys. Some guys like Ben Britt and Timmy Cass on the defensive front as well. That's going to be a key for me, obviously, what they can do up front against the Abbeville offensive line. Can they kind of throw off those runs and counters a little bit and kind of mess that up and make some plays there? Because that Abbeville team's tough to prepare for. You don't see a lot of offenses like what they're going to do.
And they can throw the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they want to run the ball. They're a run-first group. They can throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
For a team that wants to run it, they can still throw it when they need to. And I like their chance to put the ball over the top a little bit and keeping that in Oceanside. Not just keeping it in their head that, hey, you got to defend that too.
Yep.
I think that's going to make it exciting. And maybe you got to have time to throw the ball. That's another big thing.
Yeah.
Can you hold off that line enough to be able to let those plays develop and give Rayford time to step into one. But with that being said, they got the ability.
Yeah,
they can do it.
They do.
They're certainly not one-dimensional.
Yeah, 2 more teams that played tough in our region schedules. Abbeville's 2 losses were to Powdersville at home, a game that we saw, and they went on the road and lost to Westside a couple weeks later with all of the injuries. I mean, still, they were playing these games tight, playing these guys tough.
Competitive.
Oceanside, their one loss mentioned South Florence by a point. They beat teams like Carolina Forest, 5A, Sumter, 5A, Gray Collegiate, defending 2A state title champ. One of the favorites going to 2A this year.
A Carolina Forest team that went deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of big wins. And one thing I love about this team, and we knew who Chad Wilkes was. We knew what he was doing at Lamar, doing some great things there. Really got to know him this offseason. We had an interview with him, kind of talking about him taking over the job there. But I've loved following these guys because, really been, I don't know if multiple is the right word or not, but you mentioned last week, Reidenbach running 21 times for 111 yards. He can also throw it. Early in the year, they're throwing it. He was getting the job done through the air. So they're kind of going with whatever's working. And then on top of that, he's done a really good job in the games that I've seen where sometimes they'll go really fast, and sometimes they'll kind of slow it down. Like, just kind of doing what, pushing the right buttons at the right time. He's got a really good feel for that, it feels like, with this squad. Like, he knows what his team needs and what they need to do to kind of stress the defense the right way. Love what he's doing there offensively for those guys. I think it really comes down to which defense gets the more stops. I mean, I think both offenses can score some points, but who's going to get the stops when you need them? I'm going to go Oceanside. They've got a little too much talent. They're a little more battle-tested, I feel like. And I'm going to get a huge Von Blue guy. Love Von Blue. If you have not seen him, look forward to checking him out 2 o'clock on Friday. But it should be a fun matchup with the Panthers and the Land Sharks.
Yeah, 2 really, really good ball teams, and I agree with you. I think Oceanside's just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Abbeville's very good. Nothing against Abbeville, and they got a chance. They got a chance. I do like what you say about Oceanside, how and that's a testament to Coach Wilkes and that staff to be able to prepare those kids to be able to do those different things and to be so versatile in the way that you can carry out a game plan and you can change on the fly a little bit. That's very impressive. And Abbeville, not quite to that degree, but versatile in that they got so much talent on their sideline too, to where hey, they can do some. They can run if they got it wrong. They want to run the ball. They got to throw the ball. They can throw the ball. Defensively, they can make some plays. And those kids, again, you talk about Northwestern, you expect them. You expect these stakes.
That's something I was going to bring up.
Abbeville. Yep. They expect to be here. The lights are not going to be too bright for these guys. The moment's not going to be too big for them. So it's going to be. I think both teams are going to play well. Yeah. I don't think you're going to see either one of these teams come out and go, oh boy, the moment got to them. They were too nervous. I don't think you're going to have that in this ball.
You mentioned Abbeville. They always go deep in the playoffs. Last year getting knocked off round 3. 2 years ago winning state. 3 years ago losing to Saluda late in the playoffs. But they're always a contender. They've made several deep runs the last few years. They're always in contention. Oceanside, a newer program. They haven't been there as much. I think it's their first state title game. They've made some nice playoff runs, but haven't gotten to this level yet. So kind of similar to that South Florence, Northwestern, where one team been there several times, the other program trying to build to get there. So
and they were 3A.
Yeah, very true. Oceanside was. Yeah, so fun matchup there in 2A. Couple comments here. We've got Mario says, can Powdersville win this game if Beaufort shuts Thomas Williams down the way they did Ty Martin? That if Thomas Williams can't go on the ground, the game's over. I mean, he's got to have big yards for Powdersville, I feel like.
And they can throw the ball, and Hudgens does a good job of running the ball himself. But, you say that. Okay, let's hypothetically say if they shut down Thomas Williams, well, they're shutting him down. Hudgens probably ain't doing a whole lot either, because he benefits a lot from the read option where the defense has got their eyes on Thomas Williams, and then boom, he's going this way. You say, hey, Beaufort shut down Ty Martin. Ty Martin had a handful of chunk runs.
And McCollum had a couple touchdowns running the ball too.
McCollum's the best player on the field.
Huge.
We could have
He's a monster.
5-minute segment about Chris McCollum. He had an interception where he took the ball to him. He is
fumble recovery too, I think.
Yeah, he is an absolutely incredible player. He's one of my favorite players I've seen all year. But overall, that defensive line played very, very tough for Beaufort. I think they're going to make things difficult for Powdersville. But I don't see Thomas Williams getting shut down.
Right.
As good as Ty Martin is, he is not Thomas Williams. There is, if you watch both of these guys play, there is a clear difference between these two players. Nothing against Ty Martin, because you can say that about Thomas Williams and just about any other running back around the state. There might be, I don't know, 5 or 6 guys. Yeah. I would put in his category, and that's it.
Yeah, he's special, and he's going to college to play DB, so that's funny how that works out. But
I got my own thoughts on that. That program that's saying he should play cornerback needs some help on the offensive side.
Yeah, Michael says, keep up the great work, guys. Thanks for all y'all do. Appreciate you, Michael. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Ryan says, what's up, guys? Looking forward to Thursday night. Yes, Ryan, 3A will be a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing you down there in Columbia this weekend. Demetrius says, if Abbeville's running the wing T, Oceanside's got to be disciplined in the run game. No doubt about it. I mean, that's the thing with those offenses. I mean, if you jump in the wrong gap one time, touchdown. I mean,
those guys are fast.
You can't make that mistake. So you're exactly right. I mean, you got to be fast, got to play physical, got to play discipline especially. Seth Spears says Abbeville's definitely used to being there. I think that'll definitely help a little bit. You're exactly right. Like John and I just mentioned, they're there every year playing deep in the playoffs, so they will be used to that. Don says Thomas Williams won't be shut down. No one's done it yet.
So
yeah, I mean, he only had 88 last week, but still, got some scores where needed to, because he can catch the ball too, not just running. He can catch on the screens and deep passes, all that stuff too. Zach says Powdersville offense 1 for 12 on third down, 4 for 5 on fourth down last Friday night. Crazy to see
I didn't know
how that goes. But hey, they still got it done, man. Jeffrey says we ran the ball fairly well earlier in the season against Beaufort. Yeah, I mean, obviously Fort D, a 5A school there, has maybe a few more athletes on the offensive line, whatever. But that Powdersville O-line is very impressive too. They've done a good job all year. I think they'll have some success there. Derek says we don't run a wing T. No, you run that A-ball, Derek. That A-ball, man. That's always tough for sure. Brandon says thanks for all y'all do. Ready for Christchurch to bring back to Greenville. You'll get that one game here in just a second. Yeah, let's look now. I guess, John, I think that's all the comments we've got for this second. 1A. 7 o'clock Friday night, John. We've got 13-1 Christchurch out of the upper state taking on 13-0 Johnsonville. Flashes, Cavaliers. What do you like in this ball game? I mean, I've been high on Johnsonville all year long, and they keep winning ball and keep finding ways to win. But this Christchurch team, I saw them firsthand a couple weeks ago, super impressive.
Yeah, and what I do like I like Christchurch in this ballgame. I think, gosh, they've gone through the toughest region in 1A, and they've come out on top. They played a Southside Christian team was playing very, very good football when they played them, and then they played, St. Joe's, who had bounced back and been playing their best football all year. Last week, beat them too. They faced a couple of really tough tests, and they've answered the bell every time. Johnsonville, though, what gives me some hope for the Flashes, I know we've talked about this, just casually earlier this week and last week or over the weekend. You like Christchurch in this ballgame, but you look what Johnsonville has done defensively. Gave up 7 to Bamberg Earhart, shut out Lamar, and then last week against a very good hot cross team, gives up 6.
Yeah.
The offense is not. They're not going to put up a ton of points. They haven't had to. That defense has been very, very good. That gives me some hope for Johnsonville to make this a really good ball game. That defense keeping this game keeping Christchurch in check a little bit. Christchurch only scored 21 last week. That might have been their worst game offensively all year, actually. I feel like every time we look at Christchurch, they're
besides their one loss to Holy Innocents.
Yeah, well,
besides that,
outside state lines, they've done a very good job offensively. They jumped all over Louisville early in that game a couple weeks ago. I think Johnsonville keeps this game relatively close because of the defense. I think they keep Christchurch within 20 to 30 points. I think it's in the 20s. I just don't see Johnsonville being able to score 20 though.
Yeah.
That's the problem that I have in this matchup. I think Christchurch is just better all around, and they're gonna score a little bit, and I find it hard to believe Johnsonville's gonna be able to put up more than 2 or 3 scores. I don't know they're gonna score more than points.
You mentioned that game last week for Christchurch, 21-7 over St. Joe's, averaging 43 on offense, 15 on defense. Running back Deshaun Reeder, one of our players of the week this year, 20 for 185, 3 touchdowns. This guy goes for $175 plus every week. It feels like it's crazy. Quarterback Woods Wyndham's a great player. Receiver B.J. Atkins, defensively Shaw and Mike'sel and those guys are getting it done there for Coach Hatfield. They've been very impressive. I mean, I thought Louisville had a real chance to beat them 2 weeks ago. That game was over in the first quarter. That was not a game at all. That Christchurch squad is for real. Johnsonville at 206 went up across, averaging 32 on offense, 12 on defense. Running back Daquan Burrows, a north-south selection there, really good athlete. Quarterback Malik Shippey, great player as well for them. Elantre Presley, a kind of a playmaker for them. DB Tamari Hanna. Yeah, and what I say about Johnsonville, it's I'm trying to think of a team to liken them to. I feel like they're very opportunistic. Almost like we were saying about Gaffney last year in the playoffs, where they would block a punt at the right time or get a pick and a run it back or
they got a turn for that, don't they?
Yeah, whatever it is that Justin's kind of doing the same thing. Like last week they called a couple turnovers on the kickoffs, like they made them fumble or mishandle or whatever. You break one big run from Burrows and all of a sudden you're up 2 scores. I mean, they're getting it done.
That's all you need.
Yeah. they're getting it done, making the plays at very opportunistic times. Coming through when the squad needs them. And Burrows, he's one of the better players in 1A. I mean, the guy's a stud. You're gonna have two really good running backs with Burrows and Reeder going at it. This was gonna be a lot of fun. But I think Christchurch just might be a little bit too big. They've got some big time impressive athletes up front and a couple skill spots, especially like Wyndham and Reeder there. I like Christchurch here in a close one. But I said they were going to lose or have a chance to lose weeks ago, and they blew these guys out. So I don't know what to think for sure. I like Johnsonville. I love what Coach Cribb's doing there. Like I said, I love Burrows, Shipley, Press, those guys. I think Christchurch may have a few more athletes than what Johnsonville has.
I think they do too, and I could see this being a 21-6 kind of ball game where hey, it looks pretty close and it's competitive on the scoreboard, but Christchurch I see them controlling this ball game.
And like I said, they're going to need some of those big plays. They're going to need a big kickoff return.
They are.
They're going to need a pick six. They're going to need a turnover. They're going to need something to really kind of spark them. And, because like you said, I don't think they can line up and score enough points on offense to win the game.
Yeah.
They're going to need 6 from a kickoff return or a pick six or a block punt or whatever. They're going to need to find another way to score. And if they do, all bets are off. But
that's exactly right.
I'm looking at Christchurch here in a close one as well.
You look on the other side of the token there in that regard. You don't want to be Christchurch walking away from this game going, well, doggone, we're the better team. Just had we not fumbled on that punt, and had we not made this turnover, and had we not given them a short field, we could have won the game. And that's kind of like you said. That's kind of how Johnsonville has been making their hay this year. Yeah,
no doubt about it. It should be a fun game on 7 o'clock Friday night there, that 1A matchup. Few comments here. We've got, let's see, Darius saying, we don't run an A-bone either. We got some of our sleeves. Whatever you want to call it, it's a run-heavy offense, and you got to be disciplined. But, I know what you mean, Darius. Should be a fun ball game for sure. Jeffrey says, I haven't seen Abbeville, to be honest, but Oceanside is pretty impressive. Darius says, we got something to prove. We all have to do is don't turn the ball over. Every team's moved the ball on Oceanside, but had 4 to 5 turnovers. Jeffrey says, something didn't move the ball on Oceanside. Took South Florence to the wire. Darius said, feeling good about the game. They're big, but they don't move well. Dimitri says, this will be a close game in 1A. Feels like Johnsonville comes up short, 28-21 Christchurch. Yeah, I could see that. It should be a tight one. Should be a fun one there for sure. Ashley says, Powdersville's defense is tough. They are. We just talked about that game.
They got a lot better.
Coach Nimmer has got those boys playing great on that side of the football. They're doing a fantastic job there playing defense there. But a quick recap there. So we've got 5A, Dutch Fort Dorchester, noon on Saturday. 4A, Northwestern, South Florence, 7 o'clock Saturday night. 3A, Powdersville versus Beaufort, 7 o'clock on Thursday. 2A, Abbeville versus Oceanside Collegiate, 2 o'clock on Friday. And 1A, Christchurch versus Johnsonville, 7 o'clock on Friday night. Couple shout-outs here to our friends of the program. Security Advantage Federal Credit Union, they offer much lower loan rates and don't charge the fees other banks do. Whatever your personal journey, Security Advantage is here to offer you smart financial solutions. Go today at securityadvantagesu.com. SecurityAdvantageSU.com. Wyndham Banking Third Life member NCUA. Kona offers a synergistic approach for the spine, skeletal system, nervous system, and supporting structures. Been total quality care for optimal health. Free locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Kona.care. That's Kona.care. The George Agency, serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 35 years. Full line insurance agency concentrated on employee benefits and health insurance with office in Mullins and Merle's Inlet. They can help you all across the state. Clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, etc. So everywhere they can help. Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew. GeorgeAgency.net. And then stock up, stock down from Founders Federal Credit Union. Get your head in the game with Founders Federal Credit Union. See why Founders Membership can help you financial game. Train financial skills with our wide array of financial tools and services. Go to RelaxJoinFounders.com today. See if you qualify for membership. Relax with Founders Federal Credit Union. And then Hanna Engineering, John. Any more comments that roll through? I was doing that. Demetrius says, you guys take it easy. Happy holidays. Appreciate you, Demetrius. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Jason says, Dutch Fork in a blowout. Could certainly happen. I mean, those guys have a ton of talent there. Jeffrey says, worried about our secondary versus Dutch Fork. Yeah, Appler's gotten, better and better throwing the ball and all year long. Getting healthy is a big part of that. They've got some weapons with, Hamilton and Prince there at tight end can play for those guys at Dutch Fork for sure. So if they have to throw it, they've got some weapons to do it.
They do a great job of just getting guys just short routes and having guys sit down, whether it be a zone or just getting guys in a little bit of space and getting them open on short routes and be able to, they're not necessarily going to hit a ton 50, 60-yard plays, but, you know, every time they throw the ball, they're getting at least 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the more.
They're moving it the right way.
Yeah,
No doubt about it. Moving it the right way. Let's go look at our pick'em now, John, from Hanna Engineering. Yeah, our lower state, upper state championship round. We had a tie for first. 2 perfect scores here. Jimmy S. been on the leaderboard all year long. Won our regular season there.
Impressive.
He ties with Corey R. at 10. We've got Richard, Tom, Lance, Joshua, Thomas, Hunter, Andrew, and Coach T all with 9. Corey, Dale, David, James, Kane, Chris, Ricky, Corn, Brandon, and Pat all at 8. I finished with 9 this week. John, you had 8. Drill had 7. A fun week of ball games there. Only 10, with there only being no Skeeza games last week, so only 10 there. But hats off to Jimmy and Corey for perfect scores of 10 there last week. And then our overall leader heading into the state title games, John, only 5 this week, so it'll be tough to play some catch up. The guy who's been leading all playoffs long, Chris G, 37, a 3-game lead. 3-game lead over Dale B at 34. Corey R, Lance L, and Coach T at 33. Richard at 32. Joshua 28 at 31. And then tie for night, David C, David B, Mark F, and Will K at 30. Leading our host pick'em, Jarrell's got 31. I've got 30. John's got 29. Playoffs been tough for us, John. I can't. I had my best week last week finally, but I've been sitting around 6 or 7 weeks. I feel like I finally had a 9 spot. It was nice to get, but playoffs been a lot of fun to do. I mean, this has been some really good ball games here so far.
And I love that we're not perfect.
Yeah.
I love we're seeing some upsets, some games that we didn't expect to see. Of course, I want to win every game.
Oh, yeah.
But I do enjoy seeing, like, oh, man, I thought that team was going to win. They get upset. It's fun to see that. It's fun to see that, too. No
doubt. Our pick-em brought to you by Hanna Engineering. Good friends of the program there for sure, John. I mean, I know we've been through the games, and I can't wait, man. I'm excited for this weekend. Obviously, I honestly wish that it wasn't over 3 days.
Yeah.
I wish I could put it into, I guess, 1 day probably isn't feasible, but
they used to do the 2 days.
Yeah, put it back to 2 days again. Let's get that going. I'd love to see that, Weekend of Champions, but should be a lot of fun. I know you and Jarrell and I will all be there Thursday. I think I'll be there Friday and Saturday as well. But so if you guys are down there, come say hello. Love to talk some ball with you. I know I talked to Ryan about meeting up and saying, hey, if anybody else is going to beat these games, definitely should reach out to us, shoot us a DM, whatever.
Yeah.
Love to meet you and say hello and shake your hand, man. Appreciate you guys checking us out and following us. So definitely want to say thanks in person if we can. And
great place to go. Great place to go watch a ball game at Benedict. Yeah. Parking situation's good. It's easy to get to.
Yep.
Easy to get in and out of. They got a good stay and good facility. Pretty good spot for a state championship game. I know I've talked trash before about the game should be at Williams-Brice every year.
I do wish it was.
And it should.
I'll say it.
I stand by it. Still should be.
Yeah.
But Benedict does a good job. Benedict does a really good job with it too.
I will say, this is you guys' first time down there. Be wary. The concession situation last year was awful, to put it lightly.
That's true.
It may be better this year. I'm hoping it is, but don't 100% bank on concessions. Right on time, Drill says great concessions. Yeah, so I wouldn't 100% bank on having some good stuff for you. You might want to go eat before you go in just in case. But hopefully they got that ironed out in the past year, John. But we shall see how that goes.
Good grass slot. Get early. Tailgate a little bit. Have some fun.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to one of these games on Friday or Saturday, got a big gap between them. Let's bring out the grill. Let's get out the TV. Let's watch some football and hang out. And
got plenty of college games to
have a good old time. Have a good old time for sure. But I want to give another shout out again for you in the season here, John. I mean, it's been a fun season, and a lot of that thanks to our friends here who allow us to be able to go to all these games and buy some equipment. So that's the guys at Security Advantage Federal Credit Union. Join today, securityadvantage.com. Went in banking to our luck of NCUA. The Georgia agency, a longtime friend of the program here, over 40 years in South Carolina. Open enrollments here now. Maybe you don't have insurance through your company. Maybe you're a seasonal worker, whatever it is. Check them out. Bradley, Wayne, your training group can help you out at georgiac.net. Or if you're a small business owner, group insurance, they can help you out with that too. So definitely give them a call, georgiac.net. Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, our Game of the Week sponsor there, John. Kona is located in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Kona.care, that's Kona.care. And then stock up, stock down from Founders Federal Credit Union. Train your financial skills with a wide array of financial tools and services. Relax to Founders.com today. See if you qualify for membership. Relax with Founders Federal Credit Union. And then Hanna Engineering brought you our pick'em all year long. You're going to see who wins. I know Chris G has a big lead here.
It's not over though.
Not over yet. Not a lot of these games could go either way. So we'll see if somebody can make a run to catch them here. This is you guys' first time. We really appreciate it. I hope it's not your first time being the last week of the year, but like, share all our videos here on Facebook. And what's cool about them is obviously you can go back now and watch it from the beginning. It's not going away, so you can see if you missed the 4A or 3A or whatever. You can go check that out. John and I go live on Tuesday, 7 o'clock. We'll do it again next year, I'm sure. Twitter at Movin Chains, Instagram, YouTube, all at Movin Chains. Definitely follow our Twitter. We'll have a lot of updates from the games this week. We'll have basically live scoring breakdown, some interviews, things like that. So definitely check out our Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, same thing there. Movinchains.com is our website. It's got all our great stuff on there with our graphics and our message board and our road trip map and a lot of cool elements to that. All our interviews over on YouTube. Go subscribe to that. Our podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, etc. We'll have a final recap show coming out Sunday. Drell and I will recapping these 5 state title games. Do not want to miss that. And then, John, after that, we'll be right back into next year. Coaching carousel stuff will be coming out. Yeah. We'll have some new coach interviews. So, obviously, the season will be over, but we'll still have some pop-up shows here and there from Moving the Chains with different cool things going on. Working on some other cool things for you guys, too. So, definitely check us out on all social media platforms and follow us along there. But John, before we sign off here, last week of the season, any other final thoughts for the folks or on these games or just anything else you want to hit on?
I've had a great time.
Yeah,
I came across some notes.
Love it.
State championships. I'll pass along this because I didn't know some of this info. So games will be televised. Mm-hmm. If you're not able to make these games, if you're in the upstate, the WMYA 40 will be broadcasting games. In the Midlands, it's the Fox affiliate. It's Watch.2. So I think you may have to do the the analog?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not channel 57. Maybe it's channel 57.2.
Yeah. To
watch those games. Down in the Charleston area, it is My TV Charleston, and in the PD, WMB will be broadcasting the games. So have that in mind if you cannot go to some of the games. A couple other notes here. The lower state schools will get to be the home teams this year. And let's see, we will have...
I think parking opens, an hour and a half for a game? I did see that earlier.
Hour and a half, $10 per car, cash only.
Carpool.
Yes. If you have a trailer, they're going to charge you $20 for that. Enter on the main entrance from Two Notch Road. You'll kind of tell there's a big open area. There's like a fountain, and you can see the stadium back off the road a little bit. It's pretty easy to find. Tailgating is allowed when the lot's open. No charcoal grills are allowed.
Good tell you. Who's policing that? Who's policing that?
People really aren't policing that. Don't let me tell you what to do and what not.
You didn't hear that from us, yeah.
But that's a couple of rules. No outside food or drink in the stadium, of course. No tobacco. But do have a clear bag policy, and I think that's everything. Yeah,
a couple more comments. Drill says, bring a PB&J. Not a bad idea there. Ryan says in 3A, if Powdersville can mix it up and throw the ball, then should take care of business. But this game, if it's a run-heavy game with Fields of Beaufort and Williams of Powdersville, then I see it coming out of which he gets more stops. Certainly could, man. And Hudgens has been, when he's on, John, he can light it up. So he'll need a big game for Powdersville. Ryan says, we'll see you there. Can't wait, man. Jeffrey says, y'all should announce their announcers suck. Yeah.
That would be so much fun. I would love that.
I'm sure y'all could find some old tweets in my personal timeline from before we're doing this about that. No comment, Jeffrey, but yeah.
If anybody's got an end to anything like that, I would be 100% in for that.
Jeffrey says need a Frogmore stew. Man, I tell you what, man, I thought about it. Bring the old pot and do a little chicken bog down there or something on Saturday, John. That would be something.
So the chicken bog between the white walls last Friday at Dillon was pretty doggone good. They didn't have any sausage in it, but boy, it was quite good.
No doubt. It's been another great episode, John. Another great season. Can't believe it's over, but definitely hope to see some of you guys down there in Columbia this weekend, and hope y'all check us out in the off season and keep in touch. Like I said, as always, feel free to send us DMs or messages.
Yeah, there'll be plenty to talk about.
We always see them. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of great football down the horizon. Best of luck to all you guys' teams if you're playing. I hope y'all the best. But for John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Moving the Chains State Championship preview show. We will catch you guys soon.